Hey folks, Darth Alice here once again, and I just want to do a little video here comparing the different types of wire that are commonly used for wiring up a lightsaber. Over the years I've had a few different people question the choices that I use for wiring, and myself, I've chose to use military spec wiring, in that after being in the Army for 4 years and realizing that this stuff can handle 24 volts, 20 amps, 30 amps all day long, the small voltages that we run of max 4 volt with maybe 2-3 amps at the max really isn't that much. I mean, yeah, these batteries will just charge 10 amps that we're using, so you're talking a max of 8 amps going to a board at the most. But what I wanted to show you was one of the common reasons why I quit using vinyl jacketed 26 gauge wire. Now I know every saber manufacturer out there uses it. This here is an Ultra Saber's Prophecy. I've taken apart just about every saber manufacturer's saber that's out there, including Vader's Vault. I've taken apart a lot of saber forges. I've taken apart a couple Mad Cows, a bunch of different Goodmans. So this is, again, my experience. I'm not trying to bash on anybody's choices. I'm not trying to change minds. I'm not trying to do anything in the way of having people switch, because I know a lot of the manufacturers have 100-foot rolls of this stuff, so they're going to vehemently defend their choice, of course, because it's been the status quo for a very long time. Now, the common problem that you run into, I see and hear this a lot. I've gotten these for this reason. In fact, this saber here is a personal one that I got a couple years ago, and it's a Dark Prophecy from Ultra Sabers with a 2.5 obsidian in it. Now, one thing Ultra Sabers does on a lot of these sabers is, and a lot of the other manufacturers, is make where it has a removable battery pack, where you can pull the whole chassis out with the soundboard. Everything is right there. The problem that you run into is this. That's a bunch of 26 gauge vinyl wire. Some of it's Teflon, because I've rewired this and fixed this thing like 3 or 4 different times from this problem. What you run into is pulling this in and out of here all the time. You put stress on that wire, which in turn weakens it, creates break points where it can short up against the inside of the hilt, which, by the way, is why most of these break. And it causes a lot of problems. Worst case scenario, you ground out a battery on the inside of one of these things. It can cause a fire with a lithium-ion battery. So here, let's set this aside. This here is a harness. I pulled this out of, this is out of a JQ Saber. You can see, you know, the cool little braiding the guys did on it, and this is from a few years ago. It was wired up with a crystal focus. I have a feeling this is probably wired from Plector Labs, which it's a standard for a lot of people. Now, myself, one of the things I look for when it comes to wire strength is a braid ability, and what I mean by that is when you slide this in and out of a metal hilt that might have sharp edges, how easy is this going to fray? Now, one of my tests is I've got long fingernails. If I can take a wire and do this, break it in half, to me that means that's pretty weak. That's not going to take really very much pressure. And look at that, I just stripped that whole jacket off of there like that. Yeah, it's nice copper, it's good conductor, it's 26 gauge. This thing can handle probably 30 volts. So, but the problem that you run into that I don't like is that when you're soldering a board, see, I've got my little Xtronic 4000 here. It's a ESD safe soldering iron set at 291 degrees Celsius. This is what I don't like, is when you get on this wire. Now look at the jacket. I mean, that's melting right there. And right there, if you can see it with my camera, you can see where it exposed wire. Now if I go to the end, and this is already a 10 done, right? If I go here, and I just apply a little heat to that, next thing you know, the whole jacket is melting back and it's exposing more wire. So to me, again, if this stuff will melt at 290 degrees Celsius, look at that, I'm just stripping back the insulation on that. To me, that means that a little bit of heat on this vinyl jacket, it's going to fail. And the pressure and the braid ability from going back and forth at a hilt, it's going to have problems. Now what I've been using is 28, 30, 32 gauge Teflon coated wire. It's nickel plated silver strand is what I use the most of. And this stuff I buy in rolls. I usually get it like 25 foot at a time. This is 2 lead hookup wire, 30 gauge. This will handle up to 600 volts. And again, it's what the military uses. They commonly use 24 volts, once again at 20, 30 amps. So what we're pumping through this is very minimal voltage, and this will last a lifetime. Somebody mentioned something about voltage drop. Well, when you got wires that are all of 5 or 6 inches when it's said and done, I don't think you have much voltage drop. Now, this is the point I wanted to make, though, is when, well, here, let's grab some of this. This is 32 right here. This is some real thin stuff. Now, again, we've already done the test on the vinyl jacketed. I can leave this sit here all day, and I'm not going to burn this jacket off of this Teflon wire. It doesn't come off. It doesn't burn. You're not seeing the contact. Here's another one. This is yellow 30 gauge. I like using this for hooking up LEDs and batteries. And again, it's not melting. Another thing with this too, abrasion test, you can't strip or break this stuff. I mean, fingernails test, I can't strip this wire. It will not break. The only thing that I found is using a very sharp razor blade and twisting the wire around the blade itself carefully is the only way that I can really get this stuff to strip. So I just wanted to go over that and clarify why I do what I do, folks. Again, not trying to change people's mind. 26 gauge has been the standard for a long time. It does work. But once again, it's a lot more fragile than this. And a lot of people, I can understand, if you're doing production sabers, you don't really want to use this because it costs you a lot more money. It's more expensive to wire up a $300 or $400 saber with this than buying a 100-foot roll of 26 gauge. So with that said, thank you folks for watching, and this is Darth Alice. May the Force be with you always.